Good morning, Wyndham. Sending you all virtual rainbows and biodegradable glitter on this very special day. Before we begin today's proceedings, it's with great pride that we welcome Zane, a First Nation young person, to acknowledge the country that we are on.
I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land we are gathering on today, the people of the Kulin Nation. Also, my brother, boys and sister girls who are a part of the LGBTQI+ community. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they are our knowledge holders of our history and culture. They teach us how to look after country so country can look after us.
Thank you, Zane, for that wonderful acknowledgement of country. And thank you for joining us today for our virtual flag-raising ceremony to mark the IDAHOBIT Day, the International Day Against LGBTQIA+ discrimination throughout Wyndham City, Victoria, Australia, and the world. I start by acknowledging the First Peoples on the land in which I'm coming to you from, the traditional owners and custodians of this very special place here in Werribee. Southwest, past and along the Werribee River, the Wathaurong people. North from here, the Woolwurrung people. Southeast, the Bunurong people. All of the Kulin Nations. We pay our respects to elders past and present, and all First Nation people watching us here today. My name is Tristan Meacham, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm the fabulous director of All the Queen's Men. All the Queen's Men is one of Australia's leading independent arts organisations that creates contemporary performance with communities of all shapes, sizes and identities. The company has become a leading creative voice within the LGBTQIA+ community nationally and internationally, most specifically for championing the rights of LGBTQIA+ elders. Which is why I am so proud to be the MC today for this very special virtual event. IDAHOBIT Day is the International Day Against LGBTQIA+ discrimination. This day was established to raise awareness around the violence and discrimination experienced by lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans and gender diverse, intersex and queer people. In fact, all people with diverse sexual orientations, gender identities or expressions, and sex characteristics. The day of May 17 was chosen for a reason. It commemorates the very day in 1990 when the World Health Organization declassified homosexuality as a mental disorder. It's crazy to think that this was only 30 years ago. This year, the theme of IDAHOBIT is allyship. It's a call to action for all people, all communities to go rainbow, to educate themselves and each other in order to change the world. And now I am delighted to introduce the Wyndham City Mayor, Councillor Adele Hegeditch, to welcome you all here today.
As our community marks International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, Interphobia and Transphobia, I'm honoured to join everyone striving to end prejudice and injustice in all its forms. Wyndham's diversity is our greatest strength, and no one in our community should feel diminished simply because of who they are or who they love. May today serve as a reminder that we must continue to work together to foster an environment of inclusion, understanding and mutual respect.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Our next guest speaker is a local Wyndham resident, Jasper. Jasper is a wonderful young person who is part of the Wyndham Q program and an aspiring drag artist. So stay tuned for their first performance, I'm sure, coming soon. As an artist, Jasper has participated in multiple exhibitions, is an avid cook, loves cycling and is an absolute king. Please welcome Jasper.
Hi, my name's Jasper, I'm 20, I identify as transmasculine and I use he, they pronouns. I've been a part of the Wyndham City Council Youth Services Q program for over 3 years now. The Q program is a group that creates a space for people who are 12 to 25 to safely express who they are and meet other people their age who are queer identifying. We do cool activities, have amazing guest speakers, and create a unique and awesome bond as a group. We have participated in various activities such as the Queer Formal, creating pieces of art for a queer art project, and have collaborated on multiple events both in Wyndham and across Melbourne. We have also engaged on reflecting on self-care strategies, learning about queer-based sexual education with a qualified nurse, and have had guest visits from safe schools, all while meeting other groups and individuals along the way. We have done so much cool stuff, and we welcome new people to the group. If you want more information, you can contact the Youth Services team. As we continue to work through COVID and find our new normal this year, it's important that we continue to support each other and help our community heal. I know a lot of people are sick of hearing about the pandemic, but it's had a very real effect on the LGBTQIA+ community. Be there for each other, check on your friends, keep safe.
Thank you, Jasper, for your heartfelt words and sharing your experiences with us all. It is now my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Pam Kennedy. Pam works as a consultant and trainer and promotes social justice, diversity and inclusion. Pam works at Rainbow Health Victoria in LGBTQIA+ inclusion. Her work includes researching and writing the second edition of the Rainbow Tick Standards and developing programs which assist health and community service organisations to become more inclusive of their LGBTQIA+ clients and staff. Pam sees IDAHOBIT not only as a day to stamp out stigma and discrimination, but also a day to celebrate the richness that LGBTQIA+ people bring to our society. Please welcome Pam.
I would like to acknowledge the people of the Kulin Nations as the traditional owners of the lands upon which I live, work and stand today. I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and to all First Nations people here with us today. I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded and that this always was and always will be First Nations land. I stand with my LGBTQIA+ friends, colleagues and communities. I'm an ally. But what does this mean and where to start? For me, I came to this allyship later in life, exploring how quality standards could change the health and well-being of lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans and gender diverse and intersex people. We wanted to improve service quality and outcomes when LGBTQIA+ folk visit a health or community service. It was a transformative moment for me, and that started me in my journey. I can't walk a mile in LGBTQIA+ persons' shoes, but I could understand better what that felt like for them. That was my first step, to learn more about the lived experience and needs. It all just grew from there. Now I train and support organisations to become more inclusive of their LGBTQIA+ clients and workers, so that they can become Rainbow Tick accredited organisations, providing great services to these communities. We use an exercise in our Rainbow Health Victoria training to ask people to think back to a time in their life when they felt different to everyone else, being an X when everyone else is an O. Most participants speak about feelings of aloneness, sadness, disempowerment, fear and vulnerability, anxiety, hopelessness, worthlessness and more. Very few see the experience positively. Imagine then if this feeling of difference formed the background of your everyday life. This is the experience of people in the LGBTQIA+ community. My LGBTQIA+ colleagues and friends tell me it influences how they enter into every interpersonal encounter and setting. Am I safe to disclose my real self, my gender identity, sexual orientation or intersex status? Will I then be included? Will I be valued as a fellow human being? can I make my full contribution to our society? Research with younger people reported in Writing Themselves In For earlier this year showed that less than half of employed LGBTQIA+ young people came out to their co-workers, even less to their teachers, and less than a third came out to sporting teammates. Why is this so? This research, and that from LGBTQIA+ adults in Private Lives 3 study in 2020, provided some answers. The research reveals that nearly 60% of adult participants reported being unfairly treated because of their sexual orientation in just the previous 12 months. And this figure rose to almost 80% for trans and gender diverse people. More than 1/3 experienced social exclusion and or verbal abuse within that last 12 months. So what is the impact when LGBTQIA+ people experience stigma, discrimination and violence? When they're not able to be their real selves in our workplaces, our schools, our community, our families? Let's just briefly think about mental health and well-being impacts alone. More than 1/3 of respondents in each of these studies reported a disability or a long-term health condition. Adult LGBTQIA+ people self-report their health as poorer by a significant margin when compared to the general population. Diagnoses of anxiety and depression feature in the lives of approximately half of the adult LGBTQIA+ population. And I find it shocking and incredibly sad to relate that 1/3 of adult participants and more than 1/4 of younger people had attempted suicide at some time in their lives. And well more than half of the younger people surveyed have contemplated suicide at some time. This is a significant mental health crisis for our community and an incredibly sad indictment on our society. We as a community have an obligation to act. In the face of this evidence and more, I make a call to action to those of you who are not yet allies to take a first step towards allyship. While not everyone has the opportunity to create service standards, as I have been privileged to do, we can all contribute to a better world for LGBTQIA+ people. We can listen and learn much from those LGBTQIA+ young people who told their stories in Writing Themselves In For. We can learn about the issues that are important to them and why. We can support actions to build their social connectivity. We can affirm their identity, how they want to be seen and treated in the world. We can encourage their creativity. We can join with them to celebrate their romantic connections and partnerships. We can create and promote positive messaging. We can support them in times of trouble. And we can amplify their voices to effect social change. We can stand with them. So jump in, go rainbow, learn and become an ally. Stand up against homophobia, biphobia, transphobia and intersexism, and celebrate this wonderful and integral LGBTQIA+ part of our community. Happy IDAHOBIT, everyone.
Thank you, Pam, for sharing this call to action as a proud ally for the LGBTQIA+ community, and of course, the great contributions you continue to make through your work. And now, the moment has arrived. A moment that we hope will thrill and delight. It is now time to raise the flags. What a special moment to witness, and we hope this inspires you all to create some small change within your own world, perhaps at home or work or within your local community. You can participate in IDAHOBIT Day in your own way, perhaps by raising a rainbow or trans flag wherever you are, or use your imagination and colour the world rainbow. As a community, let's continue to have these important conversations, to educate, to change, as we proudly stand together to recognise and celebrate the LGBTQIA+ community today on IDAHOBIT Day and every day. Love, light and sparkles for everyone. Thank you to everyone for participating at today's IDAHOBIT flag raising ceremony. I'd like to thank all our speakers for taking time and sharing their lived experiences and powerful messages with us today. Truly inspiring. And finally, an important message: should you know someone who you know may need support, there are community services available, such as Lifeline, Kids Helpline and Wyndham City Community Connectors. Their numbers are listed below. Thank you again for joining us today for IDAHOBIT Day, here in Wyndham City.